This is ToooSimplified, and you're here because you want to know how does a recession work and what happens when a recession does happen. So let's start with the definition. The definition, according to Google, is a period of temporary economic decline during which a trade and industrial activity are reduced, generally identified by a fall in the GDP in 2 successive quarters. Now, that was a mouthful, and that probably didn't make a whole lot of sense, so let's break it down so it does make sense. There are 2 key points that we need to know and remember when breaking down this definition. The first one is the GDP and what that is. The second one is a quarter. What do they mean by a quarter? So the GDP is an acronym that stands for Gross Domestic Product, and it explains how much value was added to an economy during a period of time by businesses. Should make sense. And now we have the second point, which is what is a quarter? And it's not that kind of quarter. That's probably where your first thought was. So a quarter is explaining a 3-month period of time which a company reports how much money they've made. So now we know what the definition of a recession is. And now it's time to make it simple, which is the whole reason why you even clicked on this video. So here's an easy way to think about it. Every company and country sees growth over a period of time, but this will eventually peak and begin to reverse, turning into what is called an economic contraction. Or, in a simple way, this is whenever it goes red. And now here's a little example of how this actually works. Here, we have little Timmy, and he's built this wonderful, amazing lemonade stand. And he set himself up in the local park. Though unfortunately, little Timmy didn't have a whole lot of luck, and he sat here for 6 hours and saw no business, which started making him kind of sad. But all of a sudden, a baseball game across the street let out, and the baseball players were wanting some lemonade. And lo and behold, little Timmy was there, right place, at the right time. So he gets a bunch of business. He gets a lot of profit. Baseball team comes over and grabs some delicious lemonade. Though unfortunately, after the baseball team has left, little Timmy didn't get to see much more business after that. And because of that, he had to close his lemonade stand. So now, how does this help? How does this give us an idea of a larger scale? Little Timmy saw his startup phase where he was preparing the lemonade, he was mixing the drinks, and he was waiting for business to happen for those 6 hours. That is what you'd like to call the startup phase. Whenever the baseball player showed up, that's where he was seeing all of his growth. That's where he was seeing a lot of profit. Then that's also where he hit his peak. And after he hit his peak, people stopped buying. He didn't see any more business. And that is where you would see and call the quote-unquote recession in this silly example. And because his business closed, he wasn't able to get any more out of it. Now all we have to do is make this into a bigger scale. Instead of it just affecting little Timmy, it's now affecting a whole country. Whenever a country starts to go into a recession, they find a lot more people becoming jobless. The company isn't able to afford to pay the employees because of the lower sales that are happening from the recession, which leads to a lot more homelessness and a lot of people having lower wages because of this. In a super short, simple way, this is how a recession works. I spent a lot of time making and editing this video, so leaving a like would be greatly appreciated. And if you have other questions that you'd like to know in a much more simplified way, leave them in the comments, and I could possibly get around to making a video for your question. And if you'd like to see where my channel goes, hit subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. My goal is 1,000 subscribers, and we're going to see how fast we can get there. Thank you guys.